Call to order. Roll call of the airport board. I see we're missing Rod Shutt and Brian Curry, and we still don't have one. That's everybody that sounds your cell phone here. Right? Larry, can you lead us? What do you
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not yet. Not yet.
Item 3, call for conflict of interest. Yeah.
Or did we? Okay, that's how you find out, Brian.
She doesn't. I don't know. We have to do anybody have conflicts of interest in the okay. Move on to item 4, changes to the agenda. I have none. Item 5, roll for public comment. And I would ask if you're going to do it, come on up forward here, so that she's able to hear it for recording the minutes.
My name is my name is Daniel McCullough. I live on Paxel. I was here in May meeting and had some conversations, and I wanted to follow up and find out where we were in the conversation, if anywhere, regarding like commuter jets and bringing commuter traffic into here. Also wanted to find out, and this kind of may go into your bailiwick, but last time I asked about kind of like is the tail wagging the dog regarding growth for the airport. So for example, I think you said that we have like 700 flights a day currently, high season.
And
Big season. Well, I'm sure it wasn't that way 10 years ago. Right. You know, so I mean, what are we going to do? Are we just going to say everyone who wants to land here, keep landing here, when it turns into 1,000 a day, and then we grow some more, and then 2,000 a day, and we grow some more, and then we end up with County Airport. So is that how this is going to proceed? I mean, I know you're advisor. I mean, but I'm asking, is that what we're advising county to do? Just to let this thing grow until it turns into something huge, and then we are kind of forced with all the things that come with the commuter traffic and the local traffic, and actually we have a rail system going to Spokane, you know, because no one wants to drive that far to fly out of here. So, and then rolling from there, I mean, where we are in Canfield Mountain, we are really noticing a lot of increased air traffic right over our heads. I mean, it's like you can pass the muster. I mean, it's really getting close. It wasn't like that before. And I'm assuming it's because you have so many flights now, you're having to expand this landing pattern or whatever. So it's a disturbance to us. You know, the noise is getting to be ridiculous. The close proximity to the house, I don't understand why they have to fly so close to our houses. And then, of course, as homeowners, we're concerned about property value, because who wants to live in a neighborhood that's dealing with air traffic right over the top of their houses on a consistent basis? So these are the questions I have. You know, what can we do? I mean, where are we headed? I guess is the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, what can we do to mitigate it, whether it's, you know, in terms of landing patterns, noise abatement policies, and so on.
Okay, so are you asking the advisory board what we're advising?
Well, I know that you don't speak to what the county's going to decide to do. I mean, so I'm not going to bother trying to ask that question. I guess I want to know, in your capacity, where are you suggesting they go?
So you're looking, here's an informational question through it. Yeah, because what's happening is, yes, you're seeing more traffic. I don't know, there are certain requirements by federal aviation regulations for distancing from populated areas. So that has to be taken because there could be some road pilots that are flying too close.
Yeah, it's happening too fast to identify who it is. You know, but I've had more than 5 instances, 5 different people comment on how close they are, like right enough.
To answer the question, could you give an estimate of what else they were above your?
What would you say? I mean, it seemed like a couple 100 feet, actually, or 100 feet. It seemed pretty close. The the pontoon plane, I mean, it's kind of like you can see the face of the pilot. I mean, close enough, you know, so, no, I'm not
You
good.
know, living where you live, it's kind of a unique situation, because you're on a ridge coming off the camp.
Mhm,
And of course, you go either side of that bridge, and we fly along the super 1000 ADL, which is the legal height
mhm,
required flying over populated area, but coming up on your ridge, you know, all of a sudden that drops down to say what, yes, 500 feet or less. You know, and that's probably pretty typical. It's pretty much always been that way. You're noticing it because of volume of traffic. But what you're gonna see, you're not gonna go like this. It's just not how you do it. But at the same time, you know, if you have somebody that's down within 200 feet of your house, you know, what I'm telling you doesn't even justify that. That tells you that's my way anyway.
mhm,
And what we would ultimately recommend is contact places, you know, sister office in Spokane and say, hey, I got people over here flying way close to my house. And they will send somebody out to, you know, verify and identify the aircraft and take corrective action if necessary.
okay,
But it is, like I said, geographically, yeah, you got the toniest neighborhood in the whole area, but unfortunately, way higher up than anybody else. And you
yeah,
have-
we're 2,500 feet
yeah,
elevation where we
the
sit.
airport. And, you know, what you're seeing is the way it's always been. But, you know, even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I started flying out here in the late 80s.
Mhm.
You know, you didn't have the volume of aircraft here. Yeah, now we have many more base aircraft. We have, because I live down in Canfield, I live down in the Corby district there, where you know, the business jets, the fire traffic, you know, just the general aviation traffic has increased enormously. You know, when you ask about what we can do about the growth, as was pointed out earlier, this is a federally funded facility.
Mhm,
So it's like if you bought a house next to the interstate, all of a sudden they're saying, well, what can we traffic in the interstate, how do you limit it? Well, how can it be limited? You know, that becomes the question. If this was a county airport solely funded by the county, then decisions can be made at that level and say, well, we'll control who's in here and who's able to base here and who's not. But because of the federal funded airport, like any other federal funded airport in the country, people can land and take off. Well, they're allowed to base here if they can find room, which really is a big problem right now.
But you keep kind of trying to accommodate that, right? I mean, so every
Well-
time, you know, you see, I guess the question would be is like, what makes you determine? Like, you have 700 flights a day coming in. I mean, who you bumping off? I mean, we had the FAA conversation in May. I'm still a little sketchy on that because, I mean, we set the firefighting aircraft, which the FAA is going to give you money to support that.
Well, I'm trying to explain, because there's no gatekeeping function. There's nobody standing on the ground saying, you can land, no, you have to go.
Right.
It doesn't.
So
work.
just everyone just goes circles until,
It's like you got standing out in the interstate and say, well, you got a diagonal plate to drive your 2 blocks and go back. As much as a lot of people around the like, yeah, it's just not feasible to.
I'd like to address something. First of all, we're not advocating to get commuter traffic in here. That's, at least I'm not advocating for it. In fact, I fought pretty hard to not get commuter traffic when we had the airports people that were trying to put an operation on the south side of the airport. And they went away. Now, there can be people come in here that they're looking all the time. If it's economic for them to do it, and they think that they can stand the competition with Spokane International, then they'll come in. I mean, Tim had an operation here for a while, and it just was not economic. But there are certain levels that they may come in, but it's not going to be like we're going to have 20 flights a day, right? And they're going to be smaller planes. And so, as far as us advocating for growth, we're not. We're trying to control growth. We have a master plan. We have plans set up to where we accommodate what we have here. And if we see something happening, we have to react. And we may advocate for it, we may not. I mean, depends on what it is. We're all members of the community here too. So, and one final thing I'd like to say is what Mike and what our chairman said here are true, that if you're over an unpopulated area, the FAR said 1,000 feet, which is supposed to be. If you're over, I mean, yeah, unpopulated 500, 1,000 overpopulated. However, there's an exception. If you're taking off or landing, it's whatever it is. And so if someone's coming over Canfield to land, and they've been directed there by air traffic control, they're within their rights. Now Gaston is in a position, he can talk to the controllers out there, and they've been routing people differently than what it is when an uncontrolled air.
Over somebody else's house.
Well, that's, yeah, that's okay.
So if they see that that's happening, I think Gaston could just talk to them and say,
And as a follow-up to the last meeting, the ATC was just getting established, getting used to the area, kind of getting the feel for the flow of traffic. We're now at the point where we can start to introduce the experimental like traffic patterns. I wouldn't call them experimental, just changing the traffic pattern, where we move traffic north of our large runway and flip it from pavement over the airport. Like we can test different things. When under ATC, technically you just do what they say. You don't have to. There's not a specific traffic pattern when the towers open. So if they tell you to enter a left downwind instead of right downwind, that's what you do.
So we did actually have one gatekeeper function back to commercial service. You know, our county commissioners are very adamant that we're not going to let anybody come in here and try and more talk to establish their operation. With the airport's operation, that was very much in play. And with the presentation that was done, part of what he wanted to do, his business was to, okay, if you want to have commercial service, my company will help you do that. Well, he wanted, $17,000 for a study. And he'd already been told that, you're welcome to pay for whatever you want. And as long as it fits within the paradigm of the airport operation is legal and desired and updated, then, you're welcome to try and do what you want in here, but it's going to be out of your back pocket. So if you come in here, set up some kind of a terminal and attempt operation and it doesn't pay out and you have to leave, that's on you. If it's successful, that's fine, but the company's not going to want to fund anything.
One of the fire process is flying, it's the antics of full planes.
Right. Yeah, I expect that.
Yeah, I just watched 3 of them about 45 minutes ago come off the mountains, which evidently a fire to the east. And so they've been out and flying on that all day.
That might be explaining some of today, that this has, gone on for more than that. And that,
They come in normally 3 at a time.
yeah, that of course we understand. I mean, that's not.
You're not talking fire traffic.
No. And so, and that kind of brings me up to, because I thought you said that the largest plane you fit in here is like a 9-seater. Is the largest, is that right? Or
No.
because I was kind of seeing more than double that size.
737s out there the other day. So,
737.
and they can come in local.
Business jets.
Yes, business jets. So they weren't airliners. They were actually private jets.
So the way this is going to work though, so like today we got 700, but let's just say tomorrow 1,000 planes show up on our land. What you do is spin them in the sky and until they start running out of gas, they say you better go somewhere else and run. How do you manage this then? I mean, what's the control
I think
factor?
some of it's self-regulating. I know that we've got 3 flight schools here right now, and when it gets congested here, the flight schools are going south or north or doing something to get out of the area because they don't like being routed all over the place either. When you got 5 people in the pattern, it's not.
So that's why I
Our
guess.
tower has been instructed to that when that traffic is at a high level and they want to do touch and go, just non-stop, they are told to go to a different airport. They don't want-
Well, see, this is what I wondered about, is that why can't be, can't there be a policy of the limit of so many planes per day? This is how many we got room for. We have 500, and 1,000 showed up.
Again,
It's like the freeway.
it's just like the freeway.
Yeah.
It's like the lake. I love to go down the lake for a lake, I know myself, I did it 20 years ago. Them days are done.
Well, I know, but we're trying to slow this down. I mean, I guess the question is.
But what I'm saying is, I can't stand as a over up the toll gate and say,
No,
no, you can't launch, you can't use my lake because it's my lake, is what I'm, I understand what you're saying.
yeah, I'm just asking what
We're not.
What are we
We're not
doing?
trying to slow it down. We're not trying to accelerate.
Oh, no.
And what I would suggest, if you haven't read it, the master plan is on the web, long document. It says, it was done in 2019. And it's due for an update, but if you've got input as to how we ought to plan for the next time around, I think this is the forum to come and tell us that. But as far as your question, I think we need to move on.
Yeah.
That we're not advocating for growth and we're not advocating to shut things down. We're advocating to try to accommodate things safely that are in operation.
But one more thing I would add, legitimately, you're welcome to, meet with the officer and discuss how do we adjust, legally adjust traffic patterns so that we keep them off of this particular area of geography. Let's face it, like I said, you're always going to have people who are going to be, at least from your perspective, too low because they're 1,000 feet off the ground here in Dalton Garden, and all of a sudden they're 500 feet off the ground. If they're legal going over your area, if you're telling me that you've got people in there 200 feet off the ground, I don't doubt you're correct. I'm sure people are doing that. And there are ways to handle it. Yes, and I have conversations about it, perhaps adjusting traffic patterns, creating no-fly zones. And if this is going to continue, obviously something's going to have to be done to deal with it because it's not going to be just you. It's going to be a large crowd of people around the same time, tired of the traffic, full of traffic in my house. And that will give you some
Get an N number, a registration number, get some good binoculars, get an N
Yeah,
number.
be intentional,
That's
yeah.
what, this guy was flying over my house. We would do that out of the rural areas. See, that's what's happening with the flight schools. They're sending people out to fly over me.
Okay, but that was, but I mean, I'm sure I got some follow-up with you.
Well, and I do want to reaffirm too, as far as the commuter traffic or airline traffic here, we have a category 1 approach system here. So that is the instrument landing system that guides the airplanes into land here with certain methods, right? The reason we're not, when there's the fear that we're going to be John Wayne, we're going to be Spokane, we physically cannot become those. We can't, because those category 2, category 3 approaches, these mainline airlines are not going to come base in the airport where they can't guarantee to land here. So our minimums are too high, essentially, to guarantee that they'll always be able to get in here. Could we get a small 9-seat commuter that flies to Boise once a day? That's like operating out of a small hangar? Possibly, yes. But having Southwest, American, and United landing here with 5 bodies, that physically can't happen here because the terrain around the airport won't allow those approaches to be here unless we cut mountains down 500 to 1,000. So to have the fear that we could grow into this thing of having 1,500 flights a day with Southwest landing here, that's not.
I don't really have that. It's more so about the Embraers and the Bombardier jets coming in out of here. Those shuttles to Spokane, shuttles to
Right,
Boise.
they want the 400 medical. So they need to go on the. So they're number.
Spokane is showing, you're not telling me. He can tell you that. I used to fly for Southwest years ago when they had a competitor over here, Southwest, instantly cut their fares. Coeur d'Alene faithful briefly marched over to Spokane and they have some favorite parking fees because they have all of us to leave. But you have to fly Southwest. I don't blame them.
And I went along with commuter remotes.
There's a friend up here at the airport that lives out of town, and he told me, and he's retired, Western Airlines man. He said, it takes me 35 minutes to get to this airport, 45 minutes to get to Spokane. I can fly anywhere in the world from Spokane, but I want to go out of here. So
It's what we're all wondering.
but I will tell you this, it's likely as long as people continue to move into the area, we have airplanes, they're going to want base, and there will be more people flying here. It's certainly.
Well, maybe there wasn't room for a base here. They wouldn't move here.
If you didn't have an airport, yeah, I guarantee you right now, if it wasn't down here, the population is supposed to be pretty low.
Yeah.
But those are the realities.
You're feeling the effects of population growth.
Yes, right. And I'm just trying to see what can be done to maybe discourage it at every turn that we can, rather than let the place get ruined into something.
We won't be discouraging.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any other comments?
Michael Postar, 317 Haxnell. Can I assume that you gentlemen are private pilots?
That's correct.
Some of us are.
Some of us are ATP airline pilots.
Fantastic. Okay. This might be helpful for this gentleman too. Some of the comments, and I'm not trying to be over the top here. I also live up in off of Belton Mountain, and the low flying aircraft has been problematic for the last 6 years. The last time that I called this office to complain about that, I was directed to go to Spokane because you didn't have a control tower here. At least that's what I was told 6 years ago. Okay. Please correct me if I'm wrong. FAA regulations say that they have to have 1,000 square foot, 1,000 foot over heavy populated areas. Okay, where we're at on Dalton Mountain, it's higher elevation, but they still have to maintain that 1,000 foot.
Only
Only
if they're
I'm
in
sorry?
only if they're in cruise. If they're landing here or taking off, they don't have to.
And Steve, I understand that, but we are not on the final downwind leg. We are not on the final approach leg up there on Dalton Mountain. So when we get the Maverick people come in through off of Hayden Lake and come up the hill, first off, they still have to maintain that for their own safety. And when they're coming and buzzing the house, going over to Coeur d'Alene over the top of the hill, do you know that that's unsafe? As any pilot, you don't fly into.
If they're doing that, they are illegal.
Yes.
And you can check on FlightAware what their N number is. I mean, you can do that in real time.
Okay.
You can pull that up, get their N number, and report them to you.
Okay, I was told when I called Spokane that I needed, according to FAA regulations, I can go online and complain. I have to have their flight number. I have to have the call numbers on the side.
The N number.
Flight number. And sometimes they're so fast. I mean, what's coming straight at you?
But what
What's over the top?
I'm saying is you can see their flight path and it will show the N number on that airplane. So
There are free programs you can download on your phone.
Okay,
It will show the track, the height, and the tail number with every airplane
that's coming in.
that's coming in.
okay. I know that's a reason.
That's provided they have ADS-B. Because otherwise.
Yeah, unless I'm tail dragger's not gonna have that technology, right?
You're not required if you're in Class G airspace to have ADS-B, so that's where the data comes from, is ADS-B data. And by the way, if you go to ADS-B Exchange, you will see all the traffic in this area of aircraft broadcasting ADS-B, okay? Including the ones that have their N numbers blocked on FlightAware.
Okay,
So that's really the best way to go, but that's no guarantee that you're gonna catch everybody, because for instance, I fly a helicopter, I have no limits.
well,
Because-
rotate,
because it's a helicopter.
in case you lose power.
Okay, otherwise they couldn't do their job.
Yes.
So, but for fixed wing, yes, you're correct, you have height limitations over populated areas, but I believe that's an average, isn't it? And if you're coming in from the air traffic controllers here, and they're controlling you in an area,
Yeah, if
Then-
you control, then it's the assigned.
then you have to follow that
Correct.
assigned
And
altitude.
then if you're not in control situation, then if you're in a landing or takeoff configuration outside of the cruise, it's at the pilot's discretion.
So when did they start? You report like 3 miles out, 4 miles, 5 miles out, and then when are you actually under control of these controls?
Their ring is 4 miles.
Okay, so if you draw a 4 mile ring around the center of the airport here, then anybody within that 4 mile ring is gonna be, while the tower is in operation, under the control of that tower.
Okay,
So they cannot deviate from those instructions from the tower.
and the control tower tells those private pilots not to come so low, or do they monitor?
They
that?
will call an altitude, that they should, be at, and then they will bring them in from there. So if you're within 4 miles of the airport, then pretty much it's under the control of the tower when it's in operation.
There's one additional caveat too, we're talking on altitude, 1,000 feet ADL over populated areas, generally 500 feet over unpopulated areas. But the bare minimum is 500 feet from the person, vessel, vehicle, structure. Now, you explained you're up on, but it's not going, it's camping level.
Right.
And, when you see an airplane, where is he at relative to your house? Is he right on the top of you? Is he out here somewhere, going by your house? If he's out here, if he's 500 feet away from you, technically he's legal to do that.
Frank, can I call you Frank? Okay, I definitely understand that, but I know that 3 football fields is 900 feet. And I know that when they're coming in and barely touching the top of the trees on the top of Pack Saddle, which is pretty much the highest peak there on the heavily populated area, of our residential area, that's way too damn low.
I would
And-
agree
and-
with you.
Yeah, and so I understand that there's variations in the mountains and this and that, and the other. It's still a private pilot's responsibility to maintain that 1,000 square foot or 1,000 foot above if they're not on final approach, right? So they're basically they're coming in fast and hot and skimming the top of that mountain. They're in violation, yes or no?
So how far is your house from the airport? Gaston, you probably know.
3178 Pack Saddle.
I'm not familiar. I'd say three out, but then I'd say, I don't know, look on the map, probably within the 18. When you say yes.
We might be a little
Yeah, you should. Like I said, it's one of those things, it's an inconvenience to geography. If you were at the same level as Dalton Gardens, we wouldn't be having this conversation, but because we have an airport here and we have that ridge, it does create this situation, and I won't say it won't need to be dealt with at some point. And perhaps this is, what we consider the open grounds of how we modify patterns at this airport, and I presume we'll have discussions on this.
Well, I know it's self-serving because it affects me and my family, but my neighbors too. And we comment on it, how loud it is and how unsafe it is. And if one of those single engine vehicles loses power and they're coming in and they can't clear, you're supposed to have 20 miles of glide path, right? At least that was my understanding.
We all want to
That's
safely
That's what I'm saying.
coexist with the neighboring environment. And Jim here is representing the association tonight. When we have an opportunity to talk to folks, at least that are part of the association, and there's others that are part of Mike Kincaid's group, that we can put the word out that for at least the people that live here in this area, if we want to get along with folks, let's try to avoid Canfield Mountain. And we can do that. But that's not a function of the advisory.
It's not part of the protocol.
But
You got it.
but we can do that because I think
Yeah, we can put the word out, and it's been discussed before about the situation.
we don't want to be adversarial. So if that works, Jim.
Yeah.
we really got that on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? My glasses are after this. And item 6, improvements in the previous meetings. I hope we have those. Okay, second. All those in favor, aye? Okay, item 7, staff reports. You're up. You're up.
Quick. The first 3 projects that we have, 46 for the other. The snow removal equipment building, the runway rehab project, and the taxiway and pavement maintenance project. We are on the closeout report writing process, waiting for paperwork. Not a whole bunch of work is being completed in those until we get final paperwork back from the contractors, and then we pay them finally. The taxiway C extension project, the runway 6 end, it has been bid, awarded, and we are waiting for grant funding currently. We're expecting grant funding in the middle of August, and construction would start probably mid to late September at this point. The south pavement maintenance project is on hold still. The turf landing area, we're actually moving on currently. The surveyors completed the survey the last week, and we got the data at the beginning of this week, and we'll start the layout and quantity calculations on that turf landing area, and then also get our landscape architect on board to figure out basically the water, how much water is needed for that area. So we're working on that. Hopefully we'll have something over the next month to be able to share with guests in the airport. The wildlife hazard management plan, I think, has been submitted to the FAA, and then we are currently working on GIS sewer update, which basically adds more sewer manholes that were added over the past 3 or 4 years to Kim's database, and I think that should be completed hopefully this week. And that is it.
I have a question for Gaston. So, what's the water situation out here? Are you on a county water system or are you on wells?
We're on wells.
Okay, what capacity are you at right
I would have to check, we're pretty under capacity right now, we're hard at Packardale, yeah.
now? So a turf runway wouldn't be a problem.
So are you going on wells or on Avondale?
We're on Packardale, but locally located actually.
Is that the same water supply for all the airport? All right, yes, I'm ready for you.
Absolutely. The container tower structure is nearing completion. We're in the final stages now. They're just getting all the outfits done inside the containers themselves. They're all painted, the windows are in. So I would say the next week and a half, we'll probably see the final top out of that top one going out. Those guys will hopefully be moved out of that trailer in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. Absolutely by the end of this month is what we're shooting for. So we'll kind of get them out of that hole that they're sitting in right now. They're having some ground communication issues and just being able to see the far sides of runway 2 where they're sitting. So pushing to get that finished. Other than that, it's normal, just ops and maintenance. We're full swing ahead on finishing up the crack sealing. You should see probably in the next week or two a runway closure at nighttime for runway 220. So we can paint that. We'll do most of our painting actually is going to be up at night. So you're going to probably see those pop-up closures that'll be during the night hours, but not for less busy periods. But other than that, just normal business.
So the date that you're estimating they occupy the new tower was, I didn't catch that.
We're by the end of this month is what we're showing. Yeah, the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Any questions? CDA Airport Association update.
For the record, my name is Jim Walsh.
It just makes it easy on you.
For the record, my name is Jim Walsh, associate board member standing in for Henry tonight. Associated meeting was held yesterday evening at Stancraft Meeting Room. The main topic of discussion was promotion of aviation excellence scholarship program that we're in the process of developing, finalizing the application and the eligibility process. The association is planning on providing 2 initial $500 scholarships. And the dollar amount will hopefully increase with donations and contributions from local individuals, businesses like that. And details of all that will be in the upcoming newsletters. So we're kind of excited about that program. It's in the incubator stages, and it's going to be a trial process here coming up, and then hopefully we can expand on that. So it's a good day, not only for mechanics, pilots of all levels and degrees, just start to help them out.
You're talking local.
Yes, yes, local individuals. The association is continuing to work with the airport staff to work on issues of the public viewing stand, as far as location, height, and security. That's ongoing. I really don't have an update on the status of that, but it is still in the works. Just wanted to mention tomorrow, the 11th, at the museum is a memorial for fellow aviator and friend Buck, and he passed. And the museum's having a get-together for him at 10:30 tomorrow. 10:30. Yeah. And also a reminder, on the 16th is the memorial for Dr. Mark down at the resort convention, not the convention, event center. And the last thing I got for that, the next meeting is August 13th. So that's what we're at.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, can I ask Gaston a question that I forgot to ask him during his time? The Jet A fueling place over there, what's the status on that?
He's still in construction, so not operational, hasn't given permits to be operational yet.
Okay.
So it's essentially going to be a self-service jet facility is what operating as a sensor currently. So.
Anybody else? Moving on, number 9, business. the only business we have for this meeting is to ask everybody to give me any input that they have on agenda items for the next meeting by August 7th. Otherwise, we don't have anything else to do. We'll move on to public comment. We have an initial public comment. Anything else?
One thing I would like to add to the individuals here is we need, when the airplane is in suspect aircraft flying over you guys' homes. So we need the date, the exact time, and a registration number. So that's the data you need to provide to pursue any violations. So without that, everybody's gonna go, oh, we can't.
Even if they don't have a registration number, if you can get, a description like red over white, something like that. That way, say it was somebody with a repeat offender, it would become pretty obvious pretty fast, and that would be. But, also I should mention too, that, really in terms of landing patterns for the airport, you guys are, way outside any county of life. I probably say the same thing to most everyone.
I don't mean to make you nervous, it's not you. Date and time and picture right here. That's all you do. And you don't have this idea of getting a tail number and stuff like that. You can shoot the color, the design of that aircraft. You're spoken as the date, time, and picture.
And the location, but the geolocation.
We gotta assume that it's not because we're in the landing pattern, it's because we're in a holding pattern. These planes are coming around waiting for whatever instruction actually. We got as much traffic we should have now.
That could be, I know typically when I've been delayed landing, I'll go out over the lake. I won't go over any, not really any reason to. I think it's probably more people transitioning from Hidden Lake area down to Coeur d'Alene Lake area, and using that as a little bit of short. I've been guilty of that. And anything else. I don't want to have anybody, looking up this custody for discrimination. But, when he says about the phone, we forget how big these phones are. And that really is a good way to do it.
Yeah, if you have it handy and, in your pocket ready to.
Like you guys see Bigfoot,
State registers, but I don't think they can see.
If you can zoom in with your phone and just snap a picture,
Yeah.
it's better than your eye is at detecting a registration number.
And, when you get that phone talking up your name, you say, hey, if you're starting this as I am, here's what you need to do. If you get enough of this, then we're gonna get the problem saved.
Yeah, I didn't want to come down with 150 of my friends in the neighborhood and block up the truck.
Well, I certainly wouldn't object to you doing it, right, in American citizen. If you got more people in on the fix, it's gonna be fixed.
Okay, can I ask a question? The airport board here is the jurisdictional, you have jurisdictional responsibility over people that come in and out of here. We're advising, you're not the enforcement portion.
We're not. In fact, we can tell gas to do something, go do the opposite thing tomorrow.
Okay.
One thing we are basically sounding board for the public. You come in here and say, hey, here's a problem we're seeing, we'd like you to consider how to address it. We are the interface between the airport management and the board of county commissioners. That's typically one of our duties.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we don't have any directional control over gas or the county or anybody. Yeah, nobody has, nobody doesn't have control of the FAA, we find that out.
We hope they listen to us.
But, as we said, you're certainly welcome, to continue to pursue this. I know this will continue to come up in discussion at some point. We're gonna have to look at some kind of a practical solution. One problem this airport has suffered historically, being an uncontrolled airport, and we're finding this out with our seasonal tower. This place has always been kind of a wild west, people flying here from everywhere. There's no control tower, they fly whatever tower they want, they have whatever runway they want. And we are trying to change the culture of this airport so that people become more respectful and consider all the rules. And part of that's going to be what you're talking about. It does come down to where you know, officially at some point they said that, you know, it's a no-fly zone over there.
Yeah.
You know, pilots are gonna have to comply with it. It's gonna be force of law at that point. You know, in the meantime, all I can do is try and get the word out and say, hey, don't be buzzing the guys up on top of the ridge, 100 feet off the house, trying to get real treetops. It's not safe, it's rude, and it causes no end of grief for everybody involved. So, you know, please be respectful and consider myself now, when I'm out, I'm just gonna avoid hitting you over, I can go around very easily, no big deal. I don't wanna ruin anybody's day. But we do have, again, a lot of people coming in here from a lot of different places. We have incidents even with the tower, that people would come in and didn't know there was a tower in operation, or didn't bother to check. They come into the pattern and disrupt things. As Gaston and I discussed, it's gonna take a while to change that culture, where people treat this airport the way they treat Phillips Field, which is 100% control tower all the time. There's people coming in here doing things that they would never do over there, but again, it's because, you know, they're just not used to it. So. Anything else in your public on that? Good point on the phone. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, I'm gonna call for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. You didn't beat your record.
No.
No.
This is where we're going. That's why we're here. Yeah, that's why we're here. This is where we're here.
Thank you.